Describe what your life will be like in 3 years if you don't allow your bad habits to stop you. My friends, that is the journaling prompt of the day in the self-journal for today, Friday, April 2nd, 2021. Second day of the second quarter of 2021. It is Good Friday. Welcome to another episode of the All Around Growth podcast. My name is Rob Kaiser, and I am your host. And this is a show where we talk about building the lives and homesteads of our dreams. Let's get into it, shall we? What is your life going to be like 3 years from now? That's a good question to ask ourselves. That's a question that Dan Miller frequently talks about and posits, if you will, in his podcast, 48 Days. It's the prompt of the day. The quote of the day yesterday is, "Everything you can imagine is real." And sometimes my life feels like it's not real. And today is another one of those days. It's a little later than usual. It's approximately 8:30 a.m. right now, and I am just heading down the driveway, as undoubtedly you can hear in the background. So why am I late to work today? I seem to have more and more excuses as to why I show up late to work. Today is no different. Today is Good Friday. Sunday is Easter. And yesterday in the Christian faith was Monday, Thursday. And I decided to go spend an hour at church early this morning, 5 a.m., and then go to the prayer breakfast at a nice place called Williams on the Lake this morning, which began at 6:30 for fellowship and then breakfast at 7 with some speakers all sharing in prayer and fellowship from several different volunteer organizations in the community. The local Rotary Club, the Lions Club, the Odd Fellows, of which I am a member of. And then I went home and changed into my work clothes, and here we are, connecting with one another today on this Friday, or at some point in the future, if you're listening to this at another point in time. But last night, I shared a similar sentiment with my girlfriend as we spoke on the phone for a long time, which amuses me because we will be spending time together tonight. And I guess that's when you know you have a good relationship with someone, is when you feel like you can talk to them for hours and feel like you can continue talking even though you're going to see each other the next day, and quite possibly anyways. The sentiment is that a few years ago, one of the things that I wanted, and this goes back many years, when I was still on the move and on the road, one of the things that I wanted, one of the things that I longed about was settling down and living in a place that could potentially be my forever home. Or at the very least, finding a community to call home and really being a part of that community, which is something I'd never done before in my entire life. I'd always been on the fringes, but I'd never really been an active member of my community. And a few years ago, and this was really all when everything started to click, when Financial Peace University started to click, and I actively started working that program. And then all of a sudden I felt myself having the desire to go back to church again and become a member of a church, and subsequently participate in the community in another volunteer organization. Everything's just clicking. And then all of a sudden I realize that after being mindful of these things and trying to make them happen, boom, I made them happen. And this is my life now. So, what's next? I don't know. I'm perplexed. 3 years from now, where are we going to be? Well, I don't know. And I'm trying to figure that out, although I've got some pretty good ideas. I'm being somewhat guarded about my ideas, and I'm guarded because things are going to change. I've grown a bit more confident in the actual way in which I want to execute a podcast and create some content. But time is limited in the way in which I'm going to go about doing some of these things is going to take a little bit of time. So all I can do is hint at what's coming up without getting too specific about the nature of the change or the time frame in which it will take place. But when it comes to making change, I wrote this down last night. Let me grab my journal, the new journal. The hard part of change is making the decision, right? So this is the hardest part of change, and it was a bit of an astonishing revelation when that was brought to my attention. But the hardest part of change is making the decision to make that change. Once we decide that we're going to make a change, well, then we can get excited about the future and begin putting together an action plan and ultimately executing on it. Because we've made the decision to make a change. And now we start working towards that change. And I've realized, as I've found some of this content that I had created 8 years ago, 9 years ago, and I'm getting ready to build a computer and go through my dozens of hard drives, consolidate data, back it up, process it a little bit, go through my life. And while I go through the process of writing this autobiography as well, there's just a lot that's entering my mind and a lot that I'm thinking about. And I'm realizing that at this point in time, 2021, as I look back on things that were written in the summer of 2013, I ought to go back and listen to some of those things that were spoken at that time as well. And see where I'm at. That was part of the point of all of that at that time. Here we are 8 years later. But the difference is I've become a little bit more I've been a little bit more deliberate about the way in which I am approaching goals, writing them down and working to achieve them in my life. I still have some work to do, but I'm doing this differently than I was 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. I'm doing it far more differently. So, it will be very interesting to look back on all of this, hopefully in a consolidated manner, 8 years from now. And this is really important to me because I've got this. I've got some definite stuff that I can put some metrics to, that I can measure from 8 years ago. So I'm very excited to begin assembling this and putting it all together. And much of it I'm going to share with you and continue sharing with you. But I believe that I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to do it because I've got all of this data, this content that's been created, and it's all over the place. And I've done it in a number of different ways, many representing the current life that I was living at that time, in the place that I was living it. And it's all being assembled. This All Around Growth podcast is almost like a trial run of what's to come. Or maybe this will be the final product and this will just go on forever. I'm not really sure. But ultimately, the question of the day and the writing prompt of the day and the question or statement or action item for you is to describe what life will be like in 3 years if you don't allow your bad habits to stop you. Again, describe what life will be like in 3 years if you don't allow your bad habits to stop you. I would definitely encourage you to think about that today and Write about it in whatever way works best for you. But consider using that as something to go on for your journaling today. It's good practice, and if you do it, it might actually allow you to get to the point where I find myself right now thinking about the life that I currently live with a strange fascination as I reflect on the past, live in the current moment, and plan for the future. I look forward to sharing it with you. I look forward to continuing to share it with you. I look forward to you sharing your own life with me. We're doing all of that and more in the Telegram group, which you can find online on your browser at t.me/allaroundgrowth, or if you've got the Messenger app on your phone, just search for All Around Growth in the groups and you'll find us there. Check it out. It's a great way to interact. It's basically like a group text, but not as annoying. So, hope you'll join us there. And if not, we'll see you on the next episode. I appreciate you listening. If you like what you hear, share it with a friend, share it on social media. Just get the word out there. We'd love to keep the audience growing, just like you and I are growing. And just like we'd like to see the rest of the world follow en masse. Here's to All Around Growth. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.